Welcome to my live, everyone. So today I wanted to do a session where I am just focused on looking through the content that I have, planning that out, and really trying to set some priorities. So that's really the focus for this live. And I'm going to be doing more future lives like this because honestly, I just want to have some time that I'm dedicating to be a bit accountable to the content planning process and prioritizing things. Because sometimes, I'll have a lot of ideas in my head. I think we all have ideas in our head, and we just need to kind of get it out and really be a bit more intentional about, right, just planning our content out. So, I just want to start dedicating some time. And I just felt that going live would help me to focus on doing that. And I can use that as a working session and a session to also, share, ideas and things like that. So that's definitely what I want to be doing. So I'm going to look through some of the things that I already have on my content planning list and through my content planner and just start to map things out because I swear I have so many ideas and it just feels like they're all there, and I need to really set priorities on when I'm going to start to also like create things, because I need to be more intentional about batching content so that A, I'm not burned out, B, I don't feel stagnant, and more importantly that I'm consistent. So that's definitely what I want to do. So to anyone joining, or anyone that will see this later, I hope this is valuable to you for sure. So I use Notion as my content planner. So I'm just going to open that up in a separate window. And if you see me just quiet, it's because I'm looking through some of the things I have. And obviously, I can't screen share to my knowledge what I'm doing, but for sure, I just need to get this out and start to really plan. One of the things I would say is one of the things I really love about the Mac is that I like the way that I can split my screen, which sometimes, it just has a mind of its own. But I like that I can do the split screen on the Mac, and then I can have both windows that I'm working with. So if I'm doing something in content planning and I want to write captions somewhere else, I can do more of, one window on the left and one window on the right. So I really like that feature in the Mac. I'm pretty sure Windows has a similar function, but if you haven't thought of doing that for your content planning, I would definitely highly recommend. And then for a case like this, where, I'm going live and also trying to be accountable to content planning, it helps to be able to see what's going on, talking to you all while planning content. And for some reason, my nose is so itchy right now. Like, I don't know why, but it is, and that's just life. And then I have my iPad here with some things that I have written down before. So I'm just going to be looking at that as well. And yeah, going through that. So let's see. Like, how do you all set yourself up for planning your content? Like, what are you all doing, and what are the questions that you have as well? So I'm using Notion, as I mentioned, and there are just a couple of things I want to do today. I need to really look at what I already have on my content list and prioritize them. A couple of things that I've been really trying to make sure that I'm honing on are making sure that I'm creating content based on my content pillars. I am a lifestyle content creator on a separate channel. And that channel is just called Abi and Nadi. So obviously this channel is all about all things social, so social with me, social with Abi, and just sharing my tidbits on how we can just be better focused and more intentional again in the content creation process. And honestly, if you're someone who's like a smaller content creator, hello, HIM influencers, how are you? Thank you for joining the live. So if you're someone who is just a general content creator, like everyday content creator, to someone who is more focused in like the UGC space, or even someone who's an influencer, big or small. I mean, the goal of this channel is to help all of us just be more intentional about content creation, help us grow our influence, help us just think about best practices, and also more importantly, help us, right, monetize our content in general, because I really think that that's just a big part of content creation. Hi, HIM. So, yeah. HIM influencer says this is encouraging for small YouTubers. Absolutely agree. And I think small YouTubers are the next wave for sure. And 1 minute you're a small influencer, the next minute you're a mid-size influencer or creator, and the next thing you know, you're taking over the world. So I think it's just important that we just continue to believe in ourselves. I'm a smaller creator for sure. And I just, yeah, really want to empower all of us. But so, as I mentioned, just to go back, I am a lifestyle content creator. So I have a YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, all under Obi Nadi, OBY, and NADI. So if you haven't checked me out, make sure that you check me out. But because I'm a lifestyle content creator, I try to again really think about my content pillars, which are in the home, fashion, beauty, food, and kind of tech spaces, how I've bucketed them. So about 4 or 5 content pillars. So when I'm thinking about the content that I'm creating and planning, especially when I've done a brain dump, like in my Notions, I have a brain dump section. And when I'm even looking at the things that I've put in there, I need to really start bucketing them in these various content pillar buckets so that I can make sure that I have content really for, right, the home. And for me, home is things like things I do around the home, whether it's like DIY or, any interior decor things, any home organization, potentially any cleaning. Those types of things to me are more in the home section. Um, yeah, anything dealing with like my furniture, my bathroom, my bedroom, my kitchen, that's all to me very home centric. And then when I think about the fashion, right, or style hub or content pillar, that's everything related to like, fashion and style. So clothing, accessories, earrings, all of those things that everyone knows is part of just styling yourself, right? The things that you wear. So whether it's trends and stuff like that, those are the things that I am focused on. And then in the food section, obviously, it's everything with food and so forth and so on. So hopefully that gives you an idea of what I'm talking about when I'm talking about my content pillars and how I'm trying to coordinate my content, and also how I'm trying to prioritize what I edit based on those content pillars to make sure I'm filling those buckets and not repeating the same thing. So HIM, your question is, how often do I edit? Well, I try to edit honestly a few times a week, and I try to edit when I have time. And I just feel like that's not always necessarily the best way to do it. Like I can edit short form content, honestly, like at home when I just have a break in the day, or because I also work a 9 to 5, I will try to do my content editing like on my way to work and back from work, because I don't drive all the way to work. I do take a rail into work, so that's why I can do some of that. But even then, it's still not, I would just say it just doesn't always give you the best um, opportunity to really focus. I feel like sometimes I get still distracted in the editing process. So which is why I wanted to do more lives where I'm dedicating time to talking about it while also doing it. So whether some working sessions or talk through sessions or completely silent editing sessions, I do think these kind of 30-minute hour lives will help me to dedicate just some intentional time to making sure that I'm editing. But I would say I try to edit in general at least 3 to 4 times in a week. Let me put it that way. And probably spending over an hour editing, to be honest. Um, I find it hard to set time, so I understand. Yes, for sure. Absolutely. It is definitely challenging to set the time. So, again, I'm going to be doing more of these live working sessions. And I think it's a good time for us to chat about things, or you can chat with me, or know that I'm going to be doing these lives and you can say, okay, we're going to just dedicate this time to chat while I'm editing, but you have this time carved out, at least an hour block to carved out to do a variety of different things, whether it's editing or again, doing your own brain dump, and then your own sort of brain dump in terms of content brain dump, and then your own prioritizations of those, that brain dump that you've done. So right now, what I want to do is it is the, I think, fourth day of November. So I really want to be intentional about November. And I want to just make sure that for November, I'm really thinking about laying out the content that I already have. I probably have in my notions, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 ideas. They all need to go somewhere and be put to good use. So HIM Influencer says, yes, I think live editing sessions can also keep one accountable and can inspire others to get up and edit. Yes, I definitely agree with you there. I think it's really helpful. I feel that, accountability partners, whether it's people you know directly or a community of people online that can keep you accountable, is really helpful. And I think seeing other people doing the same thing that you're doing, whether it's the struggles, the triumphs, the best practices, the dedicating time, helps you to also feel like we're all in this, kind of going through the same thing. I can do this. Someone else is, giving me thoughts about it. And I think it's a good way to also exchange ideas. Like, again, this is a space for us to be sociable, for us to grow and learn. And I think to just try to really enter into content creation with, again, intentionality, and really hopefully making it also easy for ourselves, because we're all really living a very, very busy life. So when I talk about also editing, I use a variety of different tools to edit, but I kind of will get to that. I just really want to talk right now about content planning. So when it comes to content planning, I'm planning for my Abby channel, and I'm also planning content for my social with Abby. So I want to think about the structure and put things down in November for those two, honestly, channels, and for the variety of buckets within there. So HIM influence, or anyone else on how do you think about your content planning yourself? Like, what are some of the best practices that you implement, and how do you kind of prioritize the content that you are just kind of thinking about and wanting to create yourself? So while I'm waiting to hear from you guys, I'm actually going to just be really focused on getting these 8 to 10 ideas scheduled on my November calendar. Tomorrow's the 5th, and I'm definitely I want to have at least 2 to 4 things that I'm going to prioritize to record, because tomorrow I want to do some batch recording. And then I want to do another edit session, maybe later tomorrow, where I at least prioritize editing again some of the videos that I've already recorded. So I'm going to definitely get some of these ideas down, based on the time of the year. So I have a couple of things, but I'm going to be thinking about the time of the year in terms of how I prioritize them. What's the value add for this time of the year? What really makes sense? And also, more importantly, how can I create this content to meet the content pillar needs? Because I don't want to put out all fashion stuff, because I'm not just a fashion, right, content creator. So I want to make sure I'm doing fashion, food, home, you get what I mean? Tech, and then cycling that. So that is basically how I'm going to be laying out the content for at least the next week or two. So I'm just going to be a bit quiet, and I think we can just focus and do that. But if you have any questions for me or anything, just drop that in chat and I'll be checking chat periodically. So if I go silent for a bit, it's because I'm also content planning, because this is technically, again, a working session. So let's see. So I do know that November is very much the month when a lot of us are, I think we've transitioned from Halloween and we're very much kind of focused on the Thanksgiving. But more importantly, I feel like we're also focused on, we get deeper into all things fall, and we also start to really pivot to things related to Christmas. So I think thinking about those things, how do I take the fact that we are past Halloween, right? We're thinking of Thanksgiving. We're really deeper into fall. And we're also thinking about like just things that we want to do for Christmas. And I think that's how I'm going to, having all those elements in mind, that's how I'm going to basically plan out the content that I have. So one of the items on my brain dump, one or two of them I've already done. I did do my first paid brand campaign, so I'm going to check that one off of my list. I'm actually pretty proud of myself. It was actually the first thing on my brain dump list. So I'm going to check that one off. And again, just continue to plug in some things on here. And I'm not going to share exactly all the things, because what fun would that be for you all to know what's upcoming in terms of what I'm going to be posting? Like, that's just kind of no fun. So I will, again, just be sharing that out. So HM says it's hard to try to edit at least 2 times a week and list out my content that I would focus on. Okay. I think you're saying it's hard to edit twice a week. Is that what you're saying? And also list out your content? Or are you saying you try to edit at least 2 times a week and list it? I think so. Hello, Sauce. Thanks for joining. We're just talking about content creation and the content planning process, and also prioritizing your content so that it makes it easier for, again, batching content, creating content, because I think the content creation or content planning process is really great, but it's important to prioritize them. And if you know anything about content pillars, it's important to prioritize the content you're creating based on your niche, and then the content pillars for your niche. And if I need to provide clarity, just drop that in the chat. But what I'm doing right now is just laying out, prioritizing my content on my content planner, and I use Notion for that. So I'm plugging things into the November calendar to really align with my lifestyle content pillars, which are home, style, beauty, food, and tech. So that's what I'm doing. If you hear clickety clack, it's because I'm typing away. The other thing that I've realized about content creation, especially like if you're in the UGC space or the user generated content space and planning things out and wanting to be more, create content more for that, is that the UGC content creation space and planning is really versatile. Like you don't have to have this specific niche. Like whatever your niche is, you can do UGC. And I think you don't also need to like spend a lot of money buying things to do UGC. You have so much around your space that you can utilize to start creating content if you're interested in like the user generated content kind of focus space specifically. So the other thing for me that I feel like this is why this is so helpful is because there are things that I'll have in my mind in terms of like, oh, this is such an easy or straightforward or really practical um, content that I can create. For example, one of the things that I know I definitely need to do that I think would be a valuable content for others is honestly like, I want to just I want to vacuum my section in terms of like wet vacuum, like clean it. And I just feel like a lot of times people are either scared, concerned, are not quite sure, like what is the best tool? How do I do it? And I have a pretty light sectional. It obviously is one of the ones that I think needs to be just maintained. And I'm hoping that this video will just show others that, hey, you can do it too. And I also hope that it'll be valuable to folks. So, yeah. So I know my phone, you all heard that. I had an incoming call, but that's just life. Life is always lifing. What is Notion? Saul says. So Notion is a tool. It's basically a web-based and an app that you can use to do lots of things. You can use Notion to take notes. You can build out your own content planner in Notions. It's really, really versatile, but it's really I would say, a content planning note-taking tool that you can utilize. Maybe I can just drop a link to the URL in general so that you can explore. Let's see if I can do that. I'm going to see if I can pull it up without, I think it wants to pull up my content planner. Yep. And I think the great thing about Notion is that it's, again, app-based. So you can do your app, desktop, Mac, Windows. It really translates well across like all of those different apparatus. Like, again, if you create something in Notion on a desktop version, you'll be able to also access it on your phone. So it's really versatile for like whether you're static, like stationary somewhere, or you're like on the go. So let me see. It keeps wanting to take me to my. I don't know if you can share links in the chat. Let me see. Yeah. So there it is. I hope that was helpful, but I really love Notion and I'm finding that it's really helpful. And the thing that I also like about Notion is that you can customize. Let's say you see some sort of planner that you want. You can customize different things in Notion to fit your needs. I created a template a long time ago, and there's a creator's template who I also liked. I just can't think of her name, but if I do, I will definitely give her full props. But I really loved some of the things that she had in her content planner, and she was very gracious to share it. So utilizing some of the stuff she had in her content planner, adding it to mine, there's some things I still feel like I could use in my content planner, which is like an area to put hashtags, especially hashtags that I know I'm going to use frequently, whether it's in for my lifestyle channel or for the social UGC channel. So I think being able to bucket things like even your captions that you may use frequently or your hashtags that you can use frequently, it really helps with the content creation process because you're not looking for those things over and over and over again. It's in one central location, your content planner, in a tab in your content planner that you can again access on your desktop or your mobile device. And it's just easy to copy that and put that into Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, or whatever you're using in terms of and needing a hashtag for. So let's see. Oh, hello, Bill Russell 48. Thank you for joining the live. Welcome. HM influencer says you should set your phone to do not disturb and block. I thought I did that, but maybe I didn't. I thought I did that for my phone and also my iPad, but maybe I didn't. So hopefully I don't get any more calls like that. But life is always lifing, as we say. But thank you for that feedback. I appreciate it. Oh, do you mean my glasses? HIM influencer, thank you. These days, I need my glasses, but I also need to go and get a new eye exam, honestly, but I've just been needing them more so. Sauce, yes, you definitely should check out Notion. It's people use it for stuff beyond, again, content creation. Sometimes I even use it for my 9 to 5 life. And I know a lot of folks use it for especially when they're like in school. It's really useful in a lot of different ways. And I think it has different functions. So I believe you can write in it if you have an iPad. I believe you can draw in it, but don't quote me. But it's very versatile, and I really do like Notion. It's a really great tool. Hello, K Past. Welcome. Have to read and learn. Him says, I have to read and up and learn to use Notion. Thanks for sharing. Yes, Notion can take a little bit of time to get used to. And I don't know if it's helpful, but maybe I can start to create some videos to do some just best practices. I don't know if it's helpful for anyone to have access to sort of a starter content planner that I'm using with just some basic things, and then you can tweak it as you need to. If that's things like that are helpful, like let me know, and then that's something I can obviously consider creating and finding the best way to share something like that out. But yeah, Notion is really great, and it does take a little bit of time to kind of get used to it. But once you do, I think the way you can use it is really vast for sure. K Pass says, this is actually my first time hearing about Notion. Thanks for letting us know. Oh, you're more than welcome. More than welcome. Again, it's honestly really, really great, but it takes some time. So I think I'll add that maybe to just a list of things to think about for the tutorial bucket for Social with Abby, just to maybe start doing some beginner-friendly content around that, because that's probably going to be helpful to someone. Yuzuki Zen, I think that's how if I'm pronouncing that wrong, I apologize, but thanks for joining. Says coming him influencer, this channel in 3 words. Oh, okay. If I had to describe this channel in 3 words, what would you say? I see its new page. Yes, this is definitely a newer page. I've mentioned earlier that I have a whole lifestyle channel, a separate YouTube channel that's all about lifestyle. And the whole purpose for this particular YouTube was to share my experiences, things that I'm learning as a content creator, and I would say a smaller content creator, really related to everything related to social, digital media, content creation, UGC, and really taking your content that you're creating and honestly monetizing it. So the goal of this channel is to share best practices, tips, tutorials for content creators in the social space, with the goal of obviously monetizing your content in a variety of ways. So as someone who's, again, doing lifestyle content, UGC, working on brands and campaign, I'm just hoping to share it out, because I think as smaller creators in general, smaller creators, I think really need that. And we need to be really free with that information so that everyone can be informed. Everyone can know what's either the latest and greatest or what other tools are available, and just how to, again, make content with intentionality. So that's really the goal of this channel. And I'm trying to keep myself accountable to, again, putting out content and sharing things that are top of mind. And this live is just for me to talk with you all, and also to be thinking through, right, my content planning strategy and doing it with intentionality as well. So that's what we're doing here today. Okay, so right now I have about 3 items that I have planned for next week. So starting tomorrow, I'm just trying to make sure I have at least 3 that I'm going to batch record tomorrow. So right now I just have 1 video in the bucket for tomorrow based on my content pillars. The other 2 are spread out across the week. So now what I just want to do is decide, do I want to take those 3 and basically tack them onto the one that I've indicated for tomorrow, or do I just want to spread them out, maybe give myself a little bit of grace? The other thing I think about content planning is to really think about, what does your day or week look like, right? Like, I may really want to think about batching content tomorrow because I know Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I just don't have capacity. So I really think thinking through your content planning strategy and what you're prioritizing, think about your life, like your normal everyday life, whether it's a 9 to 5, whether you're a stay-at-home parent, it really doesn't matter. Just think about what you have in your life and how you can, again, hold yourself accountable, how you can prioritize to really make sure that you're being consistent. Because that's something personally I'm also working on, is making sure that I am consistent, which is why I wanted to start doing these types of live where I can plan out content, maybe spend some quiet time editing, because I do think it's going to really keep me intentional, and it's going to help me to be really consistent. Because sometimes when we share out publicly, we kind of have to show up. We kind of can't talk about something and we're not producing at the same time. So ZYL Productions, hello, welcome. Thank you so much for joining. I see this is a new channel. If you don't mind telling me about your desire and how you see this channel growing? Sure. So I mentioned that this channel is all about sharing tips, best practices, tutorials for, honestly, to me, smaller content creators. Whether you are doing content creation just in the generic terms of content creation, or you're doing it with the goal of really focusing more on like UGC, so user generated content, or you're an aspiring influencer. The goal of this channel is to share best practices, tips, tutorials, tools that can really help us to be more intentional, more consistent, and produce content, at a high caliber. Also with the goal of monetizing said content, because I think that is really the wave, is that when folks are creating content, it's productive time. And should you want to monetize that, I think that there's definitely opportunities to do so. That's my goal, is to share what I'm learning as I embark on that myself. And I hope it helps for anyone who's interested in just, again, knowing tools, tips, tutorials, best practices, for growing their influence and monetizing their content. So that's what it's about. I hope that helps. Hello, Kevin. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. I'm having trouble thinking about what content I want to make. So can you tell me what maybe your niche is? Like, do you know what your niche is? That can help me hopefully give you some thoughts around that. And then Zuki-san says, what is your top favorite tip for smaller creators? I would say that my top favorite tips for smaller creators is to just do it. Like, it sounds so corny or so like cliche, but you have to start somewhere, and it does not have to be perfect. I tell myself this all the time, as someone who honestly is a bit of a perfectionist. Even getting on to do my first live, knowing that this is a newer channel, smaller, I struggled. And I'm like, you just have to do it and then continue to retool, continue to refine. So I think my favorite top tip, anyone who knows me in the content creation space, is just take that first step. Put out your first content, continue, put out your second, your fifth, your 10th, continue to do it, because when you do that, you're going to learn, and you can always retool. You don't have to have everything perfectly set. You don't have to have it all figured out. No one's going to engage with you at all if you don't put out that first content. You're not going to understand what you want to do, what you don't want to do. You're not going to understand what are the issues, or how you're not even going to understand the things that you can do better if you don't just do it, meaning create the content and put it out there. So I hope that helped. Says off topic, but the classes are amazing. Thank you. They're several years old. And I love them. I love them. But I mentioned earlier I need to go for an eye exam next weekend because I'm due and I'm just being stubborn. But they're working still great, but I definitely need to go for an eye exam. I don't know that I need new glasses though. I probably would just change the frame. But thank you. That's very kind. Sure, YCL. I hope that gave you some insights to just what the channel is about. And I hope that you will subscribe, everyone on here, or just, visit me, I guess is the word I'm supposed to say. Visit my channel. And definitely more content coming. And I'm going to be, again, more consistent. That's the goal, because I do think that as someone who also creates content, just my 9 to 5 life, that's what I do. I do know what I'm talking about. Let me just put it that way. So Saul says, I wear glasses too. Glasses gang in the chat. Yes, absolutely. And I needed to really not like I need to start wearing them again. And I've been doing so for a couple of months. And it's sometimes I look at myself like, oh, okay, you're being consistent, but in your glasses, trying to be consistent in everything that I'm doing. Kevin says, I'm focusing on personal vlogs like fitness and just my daily life in general. Okay. So when I read that, I feel like you have almost two niches, or I feel like you can bucket your niche under one umbrella. Um, so when you're saying personal vlogs, my question to you would be personal vlogs, but what are you planning on showcasing in your personal vlogs? But it sounds like you want to do fitness and your daily life. So to me, it feels like you're probably more in the fitness wellness niche, and you can correct me in chat if that's incorrect. And I would say, one, you want to just tell a story through what you're sharing. And I think that people like to see a bit of conflict in the way that, like, if you're doing a vlog, people want to see a conflict to a resolution type of story. So folks want to, like, are wondering, what is the conflict? You almost have to start off with the conflict. So whether it's, oh my goodness, I'm noticing that, I'm starting to feel less flexible and I need to really figure out a solution. Then you take us through the journey of figuring out that solution. So I feel like you have to hook people in with your vlog, like with your vlog, you have to tell a story and the story has to have an arc. So I hope that made a little bit of sense. So you kind of start with the conflict, either the ideas, right, that you're thinking of how you're going to resolve this conflict, take us through the action of doing it, and then what ultimately happens. And sometimes in the process of doing that vlog, it may be that you don't resolve it right in that first initial blog. That allows you to create a series where you're taking us through a series of steps to try to resolve this pain point in your health and wellness kind of area of your life. So that's just something that you can think about. The other thing that I would say that you can do is also share the things that you're using for your fitness journey. So whether it's an equipment or whether it's some sort of exercise or whether it's, a place that you go to or meditation or writing, like share all of that information. If you're using any sort of gadgets or tech or tools, I think you can share that. So think about it again as I was talking about content pillars earlier, but you can also think about it for you as like buckets of things. So when I'm talking about vlogs and my fitness, am I going to bucket it into, again, the places that I'm going? Am I going to bucket it into the food that I'm eating? Am I going to bucket it into the tools that I use? So again, whether it's a tech gadget, whether it's a fitness band, that type of stuff. So I hope that makes a little bit of sense. And let me know if it doesn't. Let me know if you need more clarity or more ideas. Suki says you look great in them. Thank you. I think you mean the glasses. Any ideas about marketing? So give me a little bit more insight about what you mean by any ideas about marketing. What are you trying to market, or what is your niche? Because that helps me to give you some thoughts. Him says, what other applications do you use for editing? So when it comes to editing, I think one of the best well, there are a couple of really good ones. So if you're very new to editing and you want to be able to edit on the go, I would say CapCut is probably good, and InShot, because I think there's so many tutorials out there. I'm hoping to also create some just to help whomever needs those. But I think there's so many tutorials. They're really easy to use. The thing I like about CapCut and InShot, I believe both have a desktop to mobile, basically, version of it, meaning you can use it on your desktop, you can use it on your phone. The drawbacks about some of those apps, right, that have a desktop to mobile is that sometimes the syncing doesn't always match up. So you really have to be intentional, especially in something like CapCut, to make sure that when you create your initial asset in CapCut, that you're either saving it to a cloud so that when you're on your mobile device, you can, again, access something like that. So I would say CapCut, InShot, for anyone who just wants a quick mobile. But if you kind of want to be a little bit more not necessarily upscale, but if you want something different, or if you're someone who grew up with things like all the Adobe products, then obviously Premiere Pro is one of my favorites, what I've used for forever. Premiere Pro, and then obviously this Final Cut Pro. Some of the things I like about Final Cut Pro and Premiere Pro is that you can buy different basically like asset packages. So you can find them. They have free ones, they have ones that you get with the premium, let's say, account. So Creative Cloud, if you have a certain Creative Cloud membership, you can get different asset packages. So titles, music, overlays, those types of things. The Creative Cloud system also has a mobile version that you can use also to edit your videos. And I think their mobile version has some AI built into it. So again, CapCut, InShot, Premiere Pro, Final Cut Pro, I would say are the ones that I would recommend. And you can just do your research and figure out what works best for really like your situation or your needs. Okay, let's see. Any other applications? So Kevin says, I like influencing people based on my fitness journey. Yeah, I think you could definitely do that. The thing about it is that sometimes people feel like the content creation space in fitness and all these things is oversaturated. Sure, maybe you can say that, but there is no other Kevin. The way that you're going to tell your story is going to be you. And I truly believe that there's going to be someone who sees themselves reflected in what you have to share. So no one can tell the story, no one can share the content the way you're going to share it. And I think that's what we as creators just have to hold on to, is that we watch so many different channels sometimes about the same thing, but what draws us to that content is the people behind it. So I think you definitely can do that. And I do think that you can offer value and help folks if you share your fitness journey for sure. Suki Zen says, yes, I forgot to mention, what do you use for your thumbnails? Oh, for my thumbnails, I use Canva. I'm hoping to put together just a free version of some templates for Canva, some of my favorite ones, but I use Canva for my templates. I used to use Photoshop a lot, but I think Canva's just easier. And again, I think Canva's desktop to mobile version really is so good. It is really, really good. So, and I just think it's easier. But if you, again, want something way, way more professional and you're trying to do other things and a bunch of layer and color grading, I think obviously Photoshop, but quick, easy, gets the job done, CapCut. I'm sorry, not CapCut. What did I just call it? Canva. Okay, let's see. Next question is, thank you, HIM influencers. Kevin says, and also I'm having trouble figuring out what camera I want to use for my videos. So, I feel really conflicted about the camera situation personally, because I think that when it comes to the camera, I feel like it shouldn't be the reason why you're not creating content that you don't have a good camera. But I do think camera quality is really important. So I would say, for me personally, I own a Sony ZV-1. I know there are tons of other cameras out there on the market, but I personally can only speak to the Sony ZV-1, and I have a bunch of other Nikons that are also equally great. But in terms of a quick vlog camera, Sony ZV-1 is great. The only drawback is that the battery life is pretty crappy. So you would have to buy multiple batteries. And I think anyone who owns a Sony ZV-1 knows that. But in terms of a vlogging camera, it's really great. So if you're willing to do that, I would say that you can consider that one. There's some really awesome videos to help you to set up your Sony ZV-1. I actually used one from a separate creator, and I absolutely love the way that he explains how to set it up. It's the setting that I have. It's been working perfectly since I resetted my Sony ZV-1 using his recommendation. So that's what I would say. You can try that camera, but otherwise, if you have a mobile phone, just make sure that maybe it's like it has good camera quality. You use your back-facing camera and you get some lights, and honestly, you should be good to go. And again, sometimes it's just the act of creating the content, putting it out, and then retooling, readjusting, and as you grow, buying better equipment. So, but I think your mic, your lights, iPhone, and or camera is pretty much all you need, and nothing overtly fancier than that, honestly. Um, okay, Zuki says marketing when it comes to business management. Hopefully that makes sense. Marketing when it comes to business management. I'm sorry, but no, it that that doesn't make sense to me. Um, because I'm trying to understand, are you trying to market your business? Are you trying to market your content? Yeah, I'm sorry. Can you provide me just some examples or more clarity? Okay, him says, yes, I like CapCut. It's quick and easy. It really is. It really is. And they also have really cool templates. CapCut also has I think CapCut's captioning. I really want to do a tutorial about the captioning when you're using CapCut's editing and then putting caption, especially if you have spoken video, video that you're speaking on, and then you want to chop it up for smaller content on like Instagram, TikTok. I really think their captioning works really well for that because I recently tested it and I just absolutely loved it for sure. Um, Kevin, you're welcome. I hope that was really helpful. And if you have questions, again, just feel free to ask away or and I'll get back to you. Okay, Suki says, you said yes, Sony is better than Canon camera wise. Well, would you say Sony? I have a Sony ZV-1. I have the I don't have a Canon, so I can't speak to a Canon. And if anyone in the chat has a Canon and can share their thoughts, this is an open working session or chat session. Feel free to do so. I have Nikons. I have about three other Nikons camera that I do use. So I can only speak to those two. My other Nikons are DSLR, so they're bigger, clunkier cameras with bigger lenses. But in terms of, I would say, a vlogging camera, I only have a Sony ZV-1. That's the only one that I bought, I think, a year and a half ago or so. And again, I think it's great. The only thing is the battery life. So potentially Canons may have the same issue with their batteries, but maybe they don't. And so I'm happy to do some research and maybe get back to you on that. But that's, yeah, I love my Sony. I have extra batteries, and I'm also going to be testing out utilizing a battery bank with my Sony ZV-1 to see if that just extends it and eliminates the need for extra batteries. So, but I do enjoy my Sony ZV-1 despite the poor battery life quality. YZYL Production says, yes, I also use CapCut when just editing out videos. In general, it is really it is really a good editing. Yeah, I think they've done really well with that. Saw says, I agree. I'm eager to gain the skills to effectively promote my work and business, but I'm finding it challenging. I'm not quite sure where to begin. Okay. So you're trying to effectively promote your work and business. I think if you're trying to promote your work in business, I don't know what you do per se, but I feel like you're just going to have to put it out there. Now, depending on what your niche is or what your business is, there may be different platforms or different ways to promote it. I think because, again, knowing what you're doing or what your business is and what your target audience is, more importantly, age demographic, all of that is going to help you understand who you're supposed to be marketing to, right? Like if your target demographic is the Gen Zs or the Gen Alphas or the Gen Xer, you really have to know if it's male, female, if it's age 25 to 30, that might be very different from age 35 to 50. So I think understanding that will help you better understand where those individuals are so that you can then market yourself in those areas. So again, if your target demographic for your business or your content is probably more visible on Facebook, you may want to really be incorporating a little bit more Facebook. If they're more accessible and visible on something like TikTok, then you should be promoting or sharing your content there. And if you're talking about other things in terms of promotion that's not in the digital space, but it's more like in the print space, that's a whole different conversation. I think that can be explored and I can share my thoughts about that. But I personally think digital is the future. And so you just have to, again, really hone in on your target demographic, who your who your audiences are, and because I don't really know what your business is, it's hard for me to give more tangible examples than that. But I think those are the two main things, and then you can decide which platforms those folks are, And even if you feel like your target demographic is, let's say you're like, well, my target demographic is more on Facebook, but I still want to promote on TikTok. I think you can still find your target demographic within TikTok, which is very right. Let's say a younger crowd, but there's so many. The age demographic and the folks that are using TikTok is wide and ranging. So it's just about making sure that your content reaches them, hashtagging, sourcing your audience, all that kind of stuff. So um, I hope that was helpful. Okay, let's see. I'm just trying to make sure I'm not missing any comments. Okay, I'm using iPhone. Okay, so him says, I have been using my iPhone, but want to try to revert a camera soon because sometimes it runs out of space on my phone. Yeah, that is definitely a big one, is the space running out. What I try to do is I've been really trying to make sure that I either have something like, a Google Drive so I can bucket things in, or I do a Dropbox. And I've been really trying to make sure that I've also been really working on taking larger files and compressing it. So I have a compressor that I have on my mobile phone that will compress all my videos to just a smaller size. So that's something I've been really adamant about. And I also have a compressor um, app add-on that I have on my Mac that will also compress all the video files to just a lower quality, because my Sony ZV-1 tends to give me very large files. Like it's always 4 gigs, 10 gigs, and I need that to be compressed so that I don't, again, use up all my space. And then I try to really make sure, again, that I take a lot of those files and put it in Dropbox or Google Drive. And, of course, you can also do an external drive as well. But I agree. The phone spaces are an issue as we continue to create more content, and I'm being advised to, right, do everything in like HD and 30 megapixels and all those things. So, okay, him says, I'm looking forward to what your channel will offer menu on YouTube. Yeah, my goal is to really provide, valuable content. And I'm really appreciating these conversations and dialogue, because I think it's helping me to also understand what folks may be looking for. So I really appreciate it. Him says, I have a Canon Mark II. So what do you think about your Canon Mark II GX7 HM influencers? Let us know. I like it, but okay, you like it, but you still have to figure it out. Yeah, I would say there's probably some great tutorials on YouTube, probably on TikTok. Because to me, those are the two places I feel like have the most like valuable content that actually shows you how to do something. YouTube for sure, and TikTok. Instagram, not so much. So definitely check those out if you are just looking for a way to set that up and maximize the use of your Canon Mark II. ZYL Production says, also, I have a question. Are there any tips, recommendations on a good PC and monitor? Because my son also does gaming and needs a better PC monitor. Any recommendations? For PC and monitor, I'm probably a little biased. I love my Mac, to be honest. I'm probably not as well versed on the non-Mac side of things anymore. The reason why I love my Mac is because I just feel like the Mac gives you, right, it gives you a higher output. I do think I, and maybe if anyone here games, it speaks better than that. But I just feel like Mac is so good for everything production. I can't imagine that it's not good for gaming, but that might require you getting, maybe instead of something that's like a laptop, maybe something that's more of a CPU type version. I did a long time ago, probably a couple years ago, help my nephew buy a gaming PC. So maybe I need to start putting on that hat again. But I would just say, in terms of a PCs or computers, I'm just biased to Mac. So maybe look there and research and see if there's some recommendations on an Apple product that may be good for gaming. Monitors, I think I like the Curve monitor, and I was looking also at there was an HP monitor that I was looking at, and potentially a Sony monitor. I'm personally in the market for a new monitor, so I think when I find one that I think will fit what I want, because I want to set up a really nice editing kind of setup in my studio upstairs. I'm happy to share just my findings with you. Once I nail that down, maybe I'll post that somewhere, or just do a separate live about things that I find. But I'll put that on my list to search up some PCs and monitor, and then maybe I'll do a live about that as well. So, okay, my apologies. I'm trying to learn how to properly promote and advertise it to potential customers or client without having to rely on anyone else. That's what I mean by business management. Okay, so you're trying to learn how to properly promote and advise and advertise to others. Yeah, I think to promote and advertise to others still means that potential customers, you have to know who your potential customers and clients are and where they are. And I think if you're trying to promote w- your business or your content, you have to, like, where do you want to promote it? Do you want to promote it on the digital or social? And if you do, you're going to have to create, let's say, your social profiles and start to post. Know what hashtags you want to um, know what hashtags you want that align with the content that you're sharing or your business niche. Those are kind of the initial steps that you're going to have to take. So hope that helped. Feel free to keep asking if you need me to just keep providing and digging through that a little bit more. Um, okay, you said I'm looking for recommendations on effective channels, best practices, and resources or tools you might suggest. Your experience and knowledge would be immensely appreciated. Yeah, I feel like I need to really understand what is your business and what is your niche. Are you lifestyle? Are you beauty? Are you financial? Are you fitness? I need to know that to feel like I can properly answer your question, to be honest. So if you can provide me that, then I hope that I can give you more insights. Um, Okay. HM influencer says, just keep testing different things out. I'm sure it will all work out. It might take some time for you to figure things out. All the best. I agree. I feel like, again, if you don't want to share that because you don't know what your niche is or your business, or you're still trying to figure it out, I think you're going to have to, again, create your social profiles, start to share the content, and it's, again, really hard to advise you beyond that because I need a bit more specifics. I apologize. um Thank you. I appreciate it also. I love the encouragement because I really do think that you just kind of have to do it. Okay, him says, I like it just having to get my settings correct so I can use it more often. Okay, you're talking about your Canon. Can use it more often. I have to purchase more SD cards and save them. Yeah, SD cards is another thing that I would say, definitely get as many of those as you can. But, I try to keep at least 4 of those SD cards, and I try to make sure to change them out frequently. But it's on my content planning. It's an action item that I need to do, which is save things to my Dropbox or Google Drive, make sure that I'm clearing out my SD cards, things like that. And so I really do think if you start to think about your content planning, even for those things, the things that take time, the things no one wants to do, especially when you want to just batch content, knowing that your SD card is full is like one of the worst things, because different SD cards require you to delete the content different ways. Sometimes you can't really take the SD card, put it into your PC or laptop, and just hit delete. Sometimes you need to delete it from your camera, and that could be either a single delete or maybe you can do it like a multiple selection and delete. So adding that to your action items or to-do list frequently will just eliminate the stress of having to do that, especially when you're just ready to record content, but your SD card is extremely full. Okay, I'm a stylist. Oh, okay, perfect. So whether you're a hairstylist or a like fashion stylist, like a personal stylist, the way that you're going to advertise your business is to, one, advertise and promote. You're going to have to create content. And again, depending on your age demographic, whether you're a hairstylist, a fashion stylist, everyone could loves to see people like right done up, styled. Let me just put it that way. So if you're, let's say, a hairstylist, you need to have people see themselves represented in the people that you're styling. So if you're doing hair, fashion, whatever, even if you're like a makeup, like, right, if you're doing makeup for other people, people need to see themselves. I need to see me in your chair. I need to see me being styled by you. I need to see me getting my makeup done. You want me to want you to be my stylist. So that's going to require you to create the content, right? Start to show people that you're working with. Create the content, create your social profiles, as I mentioned, preferably on the TikToks, the Instagram, the YouTube, and start to post your content. That is how you're going to market yourself. And then you're going to want to post your content with the right hashtags for your niche. Stylist, again, whether if it's fashion, styling, you need different subset of hashtags. If it is your hairstylist, you need a different subset of hashtags for those. So again, identifying that will help you, but that is the first thing you need to do. Get some, whether it's real clients, family members, dummy clients, create the content and start to build your presence and your influence that way by posting on those channels. TikTok, Instagram, YouTube is what I would say you can start with. And obviously, if you have time and space, you can also post on Facebook. But that was it was just helpful to know what you're doing to also advise. And I think you were saying you had an earlier question about that. You were saying something like the resources, best practices. Yeah, the social channels, Instagram. One of the things I will say is that when it comes to social channels, growing your influence, and then starting to, if you're just trying to get clients for your business, I really personally believe one of the fastest ways, direct ways to get it for a certain demographic is TikTok, personally to me. I think people see you. Instagram is a very different platform. Now, when it comes to Instagram, people will still see you. They will connect with you if everything is connected, linked. You set up your Instagram profile with what you do, your name, your contact information, or your bio should have all of those things, right? So those are kind of, again, first steps. Same thing. Your TikTok should have your name, kind of basically your niche somewhere in there in your bio, and a way to contact you, whether it's via email or a social phone number, not your personal, not your cell phone number. Find a way to get a social phone number and put that. That is a way to just market yourself in general. So I hope that was helpful. That's what I would say you should start out with, and then start to build from there. Create the content, be consistent, put it out there. And I truly believe with the hashtags, with the consistency, you will start to see the traction. It's not going to happen overnight, but you will start to see it. And get other people in your community, other people you know, to support you, and hopefully reshare, word of mouth, liking it, all those types of things on your social profiles. Okay, let's see. Think stylist. Okay. I think you should do also a video about various equipments new YouTubers can use that may be inexpensive. That's a great idea. I think I will definitely do that and get that out to you. I'm actually going to add it to my brain dump list as a idea. Thank you. I think that's a great suggestion. Digital stylist. Interesting. You're a digital stylist. And by that, do you mean like you are putting together different like clothing ideas for people? Or yeah, let me know if I'm on the right track. Him says, how often are you planning to post on this new channel? So I'm planning to post at least once a week. That is my goal. I'm not necessarily, I'm going to be transparent. I'm not doing that great. Hence why I'm doing this and why I'm doing my brain dump and scheduling things out for both this channel and my other channel. I need to be more consistent. So my goal, and realistically what's going to work for me, knowing just my life, is once a week. So that is my goal, to do that, whether it's short form in terms of a short form content in terms of shorts, or long form content in terms of a more 5 to 8 minute content or lives. That's really the buckets and ways that I'm hoping to connect and put out content consistently. Digital stylist. Okay, let's see. Hello, new creations. Thank you for joining. How often, oh, I read that already. Do you have any suggestions on edit apps for clothing design? Edit apps for clothing design. So I would say editing apps for clothing design, you can definitely start off, okay, if you have a lot of money and can do Adobe Creative Cloud, I would say sign up for that and start to tinker and draw and create, designs and things like that in things like Illustrator and Photoshop. But let's say you don't, you just want to tinker and really get out your ideas without having to worry about all of that. And also probably learning how to use something like Illustrator or Photoshop, I would say you should do Canva. I think Canva is a pretty easy one to utilize some of the built-in templates or things like whether, let's say you want to design things like a character with hat, sneakers, or something, and a hoodie. You can just take some of the elements within Canva and put it on your framework, and then start to tinker that way, and think of just creating designs that way. The only thing I will say is that I don't know if Canva is the best tool if you're trying to freehand and draw. That's why I think something like Illustrator is best. If you're trying to draw your character or freehandedly draw your design, to me, that's what Canva is better for. And I do know there are a couple other app-based, so mobile-based apps that you can use, but I want to make sure they're still the latest and greatest. So I'm going to just do my due diligence and research that, and hopefully you can join me on a future live and re-ask the question, and I'll get those to you. But I would just say again, Adobe Creative Cloud has a desktop version and a mobile version. So if you're doing any illustration in there, you can do that on both. Otherwise, Canva is a good place to kind of start for just tinkering in terms of editing and designing things for clothing. I think it's a great one. I suggested that to one of my nephews, actually, who's also interested in clothing design. So him influencer says, I have set my notifications so I know when you're on. Just wondering. Thank you. Yes, thank you for mentioning that. So again, visit me and set notifications so that you do know when I'm doing lives or have posted new videos. This live is so informative. Oh, thank you, Suki. I'm glad it was informative. I was really concerned, like I wasn't answering your question, and I felt like, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm trying to get at it. So I'm glad that you feel like it's informative and you're getting what you need. That really makes me happy. HIM influencer says, I'm trying to post a few times a week, but it's not easy as I thought it was. But hopefully it is not easy. And again, I'm trying to figure out different ways to keep myself accountable, doing things like this. And again, building out my content planning, trying to sit down and say, okay, whether it's a quiet edit session, so I edit things out and know that I've done it, and then start to also plan it out. So, but there's so much that goes into content planning. It's like creating the content, downloading the content, editing it. Then you still have to do thumbnails and captions and hashtags and description. And you're thinking about doing all these things with the SEO mindset, right? Of like search engine optimization. You're thinking about all the things. Obviously, there's some AI tools out there that can make some of these processes easy, but not everyone is well versed on the AI. And that still takes a certain amount of, right, closing the gaps to understand how to use it, or even give something like ChatGPT the right prompts to help you kind of facilitate some of these things faster. It's still all challenging, and it's all productive time. So I totally feel you on that. It's not easy to be as consistent as we want to, but we're going to keep trying and keep trying and keep trying. Suki-san says, regarding editing, because I do see the title of this is live, could you share your routine? When do you find it most effective? What environment do you prefer on edit? So I've personally, for me, I'm a very, like, I'm an early person. I feel the most energetic in the morning, but I feel the most energetic in the morning to create content. And because it's this time of the year where like it gets really dark, I actually prefer to edit, honestly, in the evenings now. Like I feel like I'm not wasting it. Like there's no daylight anyway. I can't create content. So I'm just going to edit at night. And I think I can edit and have, a show on. I can, music on and edit. I also think having, again, an accountability partner. If you have someone else in your life that's a content creator, maybe just say, hey, I'm going on to edit. Do you want to edit? If someone's even studying, sometimes just having someone that you're talking to while you're doing something helps to keep you focused on what you're doing. And you both feel like you're actively engaged in like something other than like watching TV or whatever. You're both engaged in studying. So that person's studying, but you're editing content. So again, why I do want to do some, whether it's quiet study sessions where it's quiet, but I can still answer some questions as well, because I pretty much personally believe that's going to really help to keep me accountable. And it's something that I haven't tried in the past that I want to try. And I think that's the beauty of content creation, is that sometimes you just have to figure it out as you go, in terms of just different ways to keep it interesting, different ways to be intentional, and different ways to keep yourself accountable. But I will say, for me, evening editing to me is best. And I personally prefer to also edit on the weekends. So like Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That's what I would say. And again, the time that you can edit, and the length of time that you can spend editing, 30 minutes, an hour, is going to be really, it's going to be indicative of like what your life is. Like, people have all sorts of stuff. People working 9 to 5s, people are stay-at-home parents, which is such a very busy task to be a stay-at-home parent. So people have children, people don't. Because you don't have children doesn't mean you don't have a busy life. So again, just think about your personal situation and keep testing what works for you and adjusting as you need to, but just try to be accountable and consistent. So I hope that helped. HM Influencer says, I still have to get a hang of TikTok. I know everyone is on the platform. Yeah, TikTok takes a little bit of getting used to, but once you do, I absolutely love TikTok and started spending some time focused a bit more on TikTok about a year and a half ago. Absolutely love it. I really think it's good. And I personally feel like TikTok is just something not to be slept on, because I think there's so much opportunity there. And to me, TikTok is a great place if you just want to do like a digital diary there. You don't want to have to think about like creating something. You could just talk about things. It could just be talking heads, right? And you don't have to utilize TikTok, I feel like, in the traditional way you have to utilize YouTube, which feels like you have to be creating something. You can still do talking heads, but YouTube sometimes feels like it needs to be longer form, really intentional, really like value proposition driven. TikTok is not like that. Like, I think there's just so many different ways you can use TikTok. Instagram to me has a very specific thing. I think it's highly, informational, in terms of like, people need to be giving some sort of value in the video. They need to be funny. They need to be entertaining you, or they're just posting static pictures of themselves in outfits or wherever, or like doing an experience. So I think understanding how each platform works helps you to better navigate what you could post. But I like TikTok. I'm always advocating for TikTok. But know that Instagram, if you're trying to monetize your content, is still number one reigning for some reason. So grow your influence as much as you can. Instagram, TikTok. If you're trying to monetize, Instagram and TikTok, and also obviously YouTube to monetize in a different way. But if you're trying to monetize with brands, again, a conversation maybe for another live, YouTube is not quite there. YouTube is not a top contender in terms of monetizing outside of YouTube with brands. Okay, let's see. So New Creation said, so one of my friends referred me to Photopea, and I'm actually doing good at working on the, oh, that's great. I haven't heard of that. See, learn something new every day. I want to now check it out, because that's just how I am. When folks share a new thing that I haven't heard of, or new tool platform, my mind is like, I must learn it or know it. So I'm adding that to just my things to know list in my content planning calendar. Okay. But thanks for sharing that. That's, again, something I just haven't heard of. Interesting. Okay. Saul says, do you mainly edit on your phone or computer? Because I know a lot of people nowadays edit on their phones instead of just on the computer. I'm going to be 100% honest. I edit a lot on my phone, and I use CapCut a lot more these days. I would say probably in the last year, I edit more so with CapCut. I just find it easier to do so, and that's what I do. The only downside to CapCut, which I'm still trying to test, is I don't feel that if I open up CapCut on my laptop and I'm editing something on my phone, like that same thing, it translates really well. What I think I need to be doing is I need to save that file to cloud, the cloud component of CapCut, because CapCut has a little cloud button. So you almost upload it to cloud, and then you're supposed to be able to access that file you're working on everywhere. I just don't think it works that fluidly. And I almost want to just send CapCut like a message screaming, like, if they can fix that, where anything you're doing on your desktop, your iPad, or your mobile device, your phone, really connects well, it would just take them up another notch. Like, honestly, they would be strongly competing with the Adobe side, because to me, the Adobe side, like Premiere Pro, when you sync that to the mobile side, it works well. So, but you still have to, cloud to upload works really well. CapCut is finicky, and that's the only issue I have. I feel like I have to, once I start on my phone, I have to stay on my phone. Or once I start on my computer, I have to stay on my computer. But I'm using CapCut more so these days. So, um, New Creation said, I made a couple of designs and was just wondering what app or website is best for clothing design and making. Hopefully I answered that. Did I reread that one? So wondering what apps and websites. I think I answered your question. I think again, the apps for clothing design, Canva, Illustrator, Photoshop. Now, maybe promoting your clothes or selling your clothes, again, completely different. I probably have completely different recommendations there. HM says, I agreed. I agree with this information. Ella's Life. Hello, Elaine's Life. I hope I'm saying that right. Thank you for joining. You said, hello, I'm glad to see your channel growing. Thank you. I actually was going to create a channel that's basically similar to yours. Your video came up and I thought it was a sign to start my own. You should absolutely start your own. There is enough space for all of us in here. If my channel is similar to content you want to create, please go ahead and still start a channel and create it. There's enough space for everyone. The way that you're going to share content, the value they're going to bring is going to be completely different from mine. So go for it. And hopefully we can collaborate or something in the future and share ideas and just offer value to more people. So I'm rooting for you. You should definitely do it. It's the right sign. HM Influencer says, I also like to edit in the evening. It's nice and quiet and I have most of the things. Yeah, it's true. Things on my to-do list completed. I absolutely agree. I think the evening just feels so zen. I also think if you have children, hopefully you like put them to bed, they've eaten, all of that stuff, and you can live or you can edit or you can just brain dump, right? Or decompress. And I also like to try to decompress before I start also editing. But hopefully, evenings work. And if you're a morning person, maybe that's the best time too. I'm a morning person again, but only for I just feel energetic to like create content in the morning, not necessarily to jump into editing. My brain sees the daylight, use the sunlight. At nighttime, chill and edit. That's kind of how it works. So HM Influence says, me too, I edit on my phone on CapCut, but I wanted to use Final Cut. Yeah, personally for me, I will say like Final Cut Pro, I use Premiere Pro probably the most outside of CapCut. And I use Premiere Pro when I'm really trying to, I think for more long form, for more intricate things that I want to do, green screen and all that. There's something about Final Cut Pro that I want to re-engage with because I really think Final Cut Pro gives you really great built-in asset packages, the title slides, the intro slides. I actually think they have some amazing ones kind of just built into it. So I'm going to probably start venturing a little more into Final Cut Pro, but I want to make sure they have a good mobile to desktop transition or kind of a mirroring system. Nuclear says, yes, you did. Okay, great. Do you have any ideas on making ads for my clothing? Making ads for your clothing, in terms of that, I probably will give you the same advice I gave to our digital stylist. I will say create your social platform if you haven't. Create your social account on things like Instagram and TikTok if you haven't. Create the content, right? Either share your designs in general, share if you actually have tangible products like a shirt, pants, a hoodie, hat, gloves, whatever it may be, a scarf. Have someone, family members, friends, whatever, having it on, and take photos, take pictures, and then start to post about that. You as the brand, you are the ad. Posting that is the ad, because creating an actual ad on social media where you're putting your content on your page and then boosting it, completely different conversation. You have to really go into that one with intentionality. Otherwise, you're just throwing money down the drain. Honestly, like creating content and boosting it and promoting it, it's money down the drain if you're not doing it in a different way. So I personally feel like if you're posting something and I'm saying this because I've tried it to just, again, be able to better inform it. you'd be throwing money down the drain if you're just doing it that way. So I hope that helps. Go for it. Yep. If you go, so HM Influencer says that you should go for it. YouTube platform, we all can learn from each other. Absolutely agree. So Zuki-sen says, do you think business flyers are effective? Do I think business flyers can be effective when you are using it. And I'll probably be ending in about another like 10 or 15 minutes. I'll be stopping the live. So if you have any last questions, continue to throw them in. But I will say, in terms of flyers, I think they're effective for the right environment. To me, flyers are very tactile. So they're very like, you print them out and you give them out to people. I think those things are more effective if you're going to something like a workshop, or you're going to be in some sort of fair, or like those things where people are physically there and you can hand it to them and they can read it. That's when I think a flyer is effective. I think a flyer could be effective for like any sort of board where you're sharing out things. So if it's a community board, a job board, an ad board, that could still be effective. But personally, to me, like if you're going to be doing like flyer mailers, I do not think that's effective. I don't think people read that. I think people get a lot of those things and skim it maybe, but they just throw it in the trash. So I wouldn't invest time in that unless you're investing time in creating a flyer for a specific experience, meaning you're going to be promoting yourself at a physical experience. Again, whether it's a local fair or a fashion gathering or a network event, that's different for your niche. Like that's when I think a flyer works best. Or you're posting on again, a community board. So HM Influencer says, this is great. This is great. Most small channels will not bother doing a live too. Kudos. Thank you so much for pushing for it. Yeah, I know. I was like, I don't have that many subscribers. I don't think anyone's going to join. I'm actually pretty blown away by everyone that's joining, the great conversations and questions. I cannot tell you all how much I appreciate the engagement and the questions. I just am blown away by how many folks have joined. I know people have way more people that joined their lives. I just appreciate everyone that's joined today, giving this a thumbs up. I have 10 thumbs up, and I know I have about 3 people still live and joining me. And I was just going to do like 30 minutes or an hour and it's just been so engaging. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate it. And it's encouraging to me as, again, a smaller creator, newly starting this channel. I so appreciate every single person that joined, left a comment and didn't. I appreciate every single one of you. Thank you so much. Says, thank you, Abby. Thank you for spending time and helping. You're so welcome, New Creations, and best of luck. Please join any future lives. If think about any questions you have, jot them down. If I have a video and you want to leave a comment on that video for me to see and it's related to something else, feel free to even drop me questions in any of the videos I have, and I'll make sure to jot them down and keep them for a future live or get back to you in said videos comment. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I really appreciate it. Thank you for visiting my channel and joining me on the journey. So for sure, just to kind of, in the last couple of, minutes that we have, and I know everyone's time is precious. And again, I thank you so much for joining the live, and I don't want to keep everyone longer than we need to be here. But I know after this live, I'm going to look at all the great things you all have shared with me. I have about 3 things that I typed away and jotted down. I'm going to continue planning my content because tomorrow is definitely going to be a batch content day for me. Like I have to be accountable to myself. I want to at least get 3 to 5 videos done. And I'm going to spend probably about another 30 minutes today. I mean, it's still relatively, I think, still early. What time is it? Yeah, to me, it's still early. I'm going to spend another 30 minutes today definitely editing at least 1 video. It's not long form. It's going to probably be for TikTok and Instagram, and then also YouTube Shorts. So I'm going to be accountable to myself. And if any of you have any questions, again, please leave that for me in here and just drop it in. Even if I have to, log off, I will see it. Or go to any of my current, like 4 videos on my channel and leave a question there, and I will respond to you. I promise you, I will respond to you. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining me today. I appreciate you all. And I hope everyone has a really good rest of your evening, day, afternoon, because I don't know where everyone is joining me. And I look forward to hopefully you all joining me on a future live session. Okay, I see a couple more comments. Let's see. Oh yes, Suki said I will have other live sessions. I'm very encouraged, and I'm going to be doing these. Trust me, I have a lot to talk about and a lot to share. And I think when we start talking about even like monetizing and the pros and cons, it's going to be good. So Elaine's live. Oh, you're so welcome. Thank you, Mikey Jr. Thank you, HIM. And then Elaine, you said, can you drop your social? Oh yeah, sure. So let me do that here. So this is my lifestyle on, let's say, TikTok. Um, and then my YouTube, my lifestyle YouTube, I'll get that for you all too. So that one, I always have to like copy it. I don't know why, but because it's so long, so you guys can have something more direct. That one's here. I'm sure you heard that, but so hopefully you guys have all of that and you guys can join me and find me there. But thank you, everyone. I really appreciate it today. And again, connect with me. Any questions? Elaine's life, again, go for it. I'm wishing you all the best. When you actually get it up and running, let me know. If you do a live, let me know. Drop me a comment somewhere, follow me, and I will definitely join and support. So I'm wishing you all the best. And everyone just starting a new venture, trying to start their new accounts. Again, if you need any help, support there, you know where to find me, and you know how to connect. So thank you, everyone. Everyone have a great rest of your day. Bye.